You just finished watching or listening to your favorite D&D podcast or show. Maybe you've always heard about it and were always curious, and you finally decided to bite the bullet and try it for yourself. That's great, it can be a lot of fun, although getting started can feel daunting. You need to find people, get stuff, and figure out how to play. In this video, I'll break it down into 3 sections with the timestamps below on where to get people, what stuff do you really need to start, and what do you need to know before you sit down for your first session. The first thing you need is at least one other person. I mean, you can probably play by yourself, but there's a lot of good isometric RPGs that could scratch that itch better. Starting real basic, if you have friends, talk to them about it. Their answer may shock you. I'm sure no one would walk up to Travis Willingham expecting him to say yes when you ask to play a D&D game. They already also know you're a nerd, whether you think so or not, so no need to worry about being judged. If that fails, you can also put up signs at your school saying a D&D group is starting and looking for more players. If you're really self-conscious, you can make a dummy email and put that on the poster instead of your real one. Since I'm not in school anymore, if I'm talking to someone at work and they ask about my weekend or if I have any plans coming up, I usually bring up my nearest D&D game I have. I've never had a negative reaction to it, and I've had enough people ask me to join my game to try playing. I could probably run another one. I just want to have enough time to do it. It's not like I work at a nerd utopia either, or even an office. I work at a slaughterhouse, so if I can find enough people there for a game, I'm sure there's enough people at any job as long as it's a decently sized business. If you can't find people in your immediate area, I'm sure that's why you're looking online on how to find people. You can always use online tools to find people, which I'll link down below. The official way to look for games through Wizards of the Coast is Adventurers League. Their tools really just tell you which hobby shops near your location hold Adventure League nights, where you can go and join a game to play, weekly modules created by Wizards. They can be hit or miss. It really just depends on something you have to go and check out. I've used Meetup in the past. It's an easy way to see if there are any people in the area trying to find more people to play D&D with. In my city of 200,000, there's at least 3 or 4 different groups on Meetup where I can look for people for games. I've had decent success, even if one of the one-time games I host is rough. There's a couple of players that I'd be willing to contact and play another game with. So if there isn't a full group, I can take a couple people from each group and mesh together an actual long-term campaign. There's always Reddit. You can go to the sub LFG. I've never used it, but I see it recommended a lot. Also in the past, I've gone to content creator subreddits who've done D&D content and posted there and had pretty good results, enough to get 2 or 3 games going. There's also a bunch of different Discord servers that you can join dedicated to find players for D&D games played on a variety of different platforms. I've linked one down below that has 900 members, but you can Google and find many more. Lastly, the 2 big hitters are Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds. Technically, they're both tools to play tabletop games. However, Roll20 has a list of open games you can look at, and there's different criteria to join, as well as looking for group forums. Fantasy Grounds also has a forum dedicated to players finding games. I've personally spent hundreds of dollars on each platform, and I prefer Fantasy Grounds, but as a first-time player, neither should cost you anything, and I'd go with whatever one I can find a game on the quickest. Hopefully, if everything goes right, after not looking for too long, you've found people to play with, either online or in person. Now you just need to know what you actually need to play. Now more than ever, you need less and less. There are so many free online resources that you shouldn't need to spend anything. If you don't want to spend anything before you decide if you actually like playing D&D or not, you can always use the SRD content released by Wizards. They're just the basic rules with limited options for characters. It's enough that you can get by and get a feel for if you want to make this a hobby or not. The most advocated for option that I see is something called the starter set. It comes with everything you need, including a set of dice for your first mini campaign. It comes with an adventure book for the DM to run, as well as a 32-page rulebook for the players, so they aren't scared off by a couple hundred pages. As well, it comes with 5 pre-made characters, so you can get straight into playing instead of trying to learn how to make a character. Honestly, it isn't that hard if you just follow the instructions step by step, but people do tend to get scared off by it, but it's easier than it's made out to be. And making a character really helps you understand where numbers are coming from, but you can skip that if you just want to get into playing anyway. If you don't want your handheld and you just want to jump in, you can just get the player's handbook. It may seem like the most daunting because it is so much thicker than the options, but people have been doing it that way for decades and they seem to manage, so I'm sure you'll be fine. Then again, it doesn't make it the best option, but if you do like D&D, this is a must-have, honestly. I've run games where some players don't have it, and it's pretty obvious since the ones who don't and rely on other people to help them tend to have a looser grasp on how to actually play a year plus into some campaigns, which is totally expected and acceptable when you first learn to play, but after a year, you're just kind of like really, dude, like, this is like basic stuff. I haven't met anyone who knows all the rules though, no matter how many years they've been playing, so you won't be judged your first time playing. It's expected as a new player that you'll be asking questions, and with the rules covered, the rest is going to be based on what game you join. If it's in person, you will need a set of dice. You can always share, but you can buy a set of dice for cheap. At worst, your DM may let you use an app on your phone to roll dice, and if you play online, it won't be an issue since the online tools usually have dice rolls attached to them. Some may want you to bring a character sheet. The official one can be found down below. If you're playing for the first time, hopefully they just want a blank one and they will help you fill it out and make your first character together. The only other thing is a pencil and eraser. That's it. Honestly, with a character sheet and pencil and eraser, you should be able to survive your first game as long as you talk to the people first and see if they're willing to help you out. There are always groups open to helping out new players online. So now you have everything you need and hopefully a full group to play with. The last hurdle is trying to figure out what you need to know before you start. If you decide to play because of a podcast or a stream, depending on the game you watch, you'll have a different level of understanding on how to play. Some podcasts really put audience entertainment over running the game by the book. Some people will tell you to read the entire player's handbook. It's really daunting, and I disagree. Reading 300 pages without any context to attach what you're reading to would just honestly bore me and put me off from playing. If a player came to my table and only read the 10 pages in the player handbook or the SRD on combat, that would honestly make me so happy. If they read the 2 pages on using ability score, it covers ability scores, your modifiers, advantage and disadvantage, proficiency bonus, ability checks, and skills. I would honestly be over the moon. This is all you need to know on how to play the game. Most one-shots that I run that are for new players don't even read those 12 pages, and everything is explained step by step as something happens. If you come with the basics of skill checks and combat down, you're way ahead of the curve. Also, reading your class's abilities helps so much. If when you say, I want to use X, you actually know what it does. It's always easy to look up your class-specific abilities during the game as a refresher before you say you want to use it, since it'll all be under your class in the book in a small little blurb, but most people don't. You can also, as a bonus, read the first chapter on how to make a character and go through the steps along with the book. Step by step, it will give you a much better understanding on how the numbers in the game work. If it goes over your head when you start playing, go back to it and hopefully it starts to click now that you see what numbers you use, so you'll have some context when you go back and try to fill in the empty boxes. That's it. Like, honestly, the hardest part is finding the group, and that's becoming easier and easier with online tools and with the popularity in general rising. My secret to learning how to play and to eventually find a good D&D group to DM for is online one-shots. I joined 3 or 4 one-shots for beginners to learn the game in a low-pressure environment, since this was a one-time deal with people I'd never talked to again. I learned a lot and had someone there experienced willing to teach new players who wouldn't get frustrated. I would also use those games as a recruitment tool. The best players in each group, what that means is totally up to you and your playstyle. I would message afterwards and be like, hey, that seemed to go really well. I'm trying to get together a group for weekly play. Are you interested? And after a couple of one-shots, I had enough players for a solid group, and then I just had to find a DM. Now as a DM, when I'm looking for players, I host one-shots until I find someone who wants to join my long-term game I feel would mesh well with my other players. I hope this helps, and as always, remember,
through defeat you shall find victory.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means the warranty is run out on Dungeon Master's brain.